What's up, it's your girl Danny D, Princess of Delaware, and I did all this yesterday or the day before or something, and I didn't like any of it, so we're doing it again. You know, I also have my dog here. He may join us from time to time. Anyway, yeah, made videos, and then I watched the videos, and I'm like, why is it that the voice in my head doesn't sound like the voice that comes out of my mouth? So annoying. So anyway, here's the deal. I have these ideas about Power Rangers that I think that I should share with the world. Now, you may think that's crazy. You may not want it at all. Doesn't matter to me. I'm bringing it, okay? So, as I stated before, I am Danny D, the Princess of Delaware, and this is my channel. What is this channel? Power Princess. Okay. Yeah, I am a newbie. I am a millennial. I am old people. So, I don't know what I'm doing. Oh well. So, what brings me to this? Okay, so a couple people told me I should do it. And I got to thinking, and I'm like, I get so excited about this kind of thing. And basically, I wanted to be able to talk about stuff from Power Rangers, like all the facts and tidbits and things that I know about Power Rangers, and talk about them with people who care. Here's the problem. I'm doing it, but see, dogs, they're just here. I have two. They're here. You can't see them, but you might hear them. Okay, let's try again. So anyway, I want to be able to talk about Power Rangers. So I'm talking about Power Rangers, only it's just me and the dogs. So I'm talking to myself. Still. No, but seriously, I have some thoughts and ideas about certain things, and I'm like, why don't I just like make YouTube videos of me talking about these thoughts about different stuff that happens on Power Rangers. So I'm starting off with Mighty Morphin stuff, little things that I noticed about Mighty Morphin that I want to talk about. And I'm not like saying I won't ever talk about stuff that is not Mighty Morphin. As a matter of fact, I'm hoping that you'll watch this, you'll like this, and you'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, let's give some suggestions. And then you want to talk about Dino Thunder, then you want to talk about Samurai, maybe you want to talk about Mega Force. Oh, Super Mega Force. Oh. I don't know, but you may even say, let's talk about Super Sentai, and that's okay. I'll be down. So, let's see. Also, like, I took notes. I have my notes, like the nerd that I am. But, you know, I'm going to try not to use them. I feel like when I use my notes, then, like, I'm not personable. I'm just a computer giving off information. So I'd like to be personable, and so I'm gonna bring to you this idea. Are you ready? Are you finally ready for what I have to say about whatever with Power Rangers? Okay. Oh, and before I even say anything, please understand that I'm giving the full thought with an answer. Okay, so yes, I'm going to tell you something that I felt was a little interesting or strange about Power Rangers. And I'm actually going to tell you what I found out as to why it is a thing. But now, not only do I have the why, I also have something that works with using just Power Ranger lore alone. So, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's just get into what the thing is that has driven me to make a freaking YouTube video about it. So I'll start with a question to you. And that question is, for you, with what you know, where is Angel Grove located? Think about it. Think about it. You thinking? I hope you're thinking. You know, you've watched Power Rangers enough, okay? And you see the clues. So where was it? Did you say California? Because if you did, you're right. I feel like Power Rangers, Angel Grove, Angel Grove. Because remember, Power Rangers have a lot of different towns. We'll come to that towards the end. Angel Grove, that's what we're focused on. Angel Grove is California. Okay? In the 90s, I feel like everything was shoving California like at us. We had California Dreamin', you had Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, you had Melrose Place, you had 90210, you had... Was Sweet Valley High in California? Bayside was fake, but Saved by the Bell gave California, right? Okay. You have Power Rangers. Angel Grove gave the impression that it was somewhere in SoCal. Now, you might be saying, how do you know this? You don't. But one can assume. You've got Kimberly, who is like, is LA, a Valley girl. The mall, hair has to be perfect. You know, stuff like that. Hair has to be perfect. Pink Ranger. And then not only that, there was an episode. It was the episode where we meet the alien Bukala, with Billy saying it doesn't snow here, and although recent events says otherwise, rarely does it snow in Southern California. So one can put two and two together, call Angel Grove of Los Angeles or Hollywood or Burbank or something. So that's number one. Keep that in your brain, because to know where Angel Grove is located is to then bring you here, because I want to discuss with you Return of the Green Ranger. Do you remember Return of the Green Ranger? Long story short, Zed is like, oh, let's go back. Okay. The Rangers are given an assignment for their 3-day weekend. Remember, 3-day weekend. The assignment is to think about where they'd want to go back in time. Where would they want to be in history? Back in history. Okay, so Back to the Future or whatever. What time period would they want to be in? Zed hears this. He's like, I'd like to send them back in time. Goldar's like, yo, you know, Rita knows the Ghost of Darkness, who can summon the Wizard of Deception, who can do all that. Zed is like, oh snap, let's pop off. So he asked Rita, Goldar asked Rita, oh, by the way, they're married at this point. Wasn't my favorite storyline at all. But they're married at this point. Zed says, go ask Rita if she can do all of that. I guess Goldar does it, because then you have a scene where Rita is asking the Ghost of Darkness to bring the Wizard of Deception so that he can send the Rangers back in time. In the meantime, Ghost of Darkness was like, it doesn't matter what happens, as long as Tommy is the leader, you're not going to defeat the Power Rangers. And so she's like, duh, I've been saying this all along. And so he's like, you gotta do that, and then you can defeat them. But she's just like, okay, cool, we get it. Send me the Wizard of Deception. Wizard of Deception comes. He's like, bet, I got a plan. Let's get rid of Tommy by cloning him and sending the other Rangers back in time. Then we weaken the White Ranger by using the evil Green Ranger, and we take over the world. Okay, so that's what happens. So they get a lock of Tommy's hair, create another Green Ranger, tell him he's evil and that he needs to defeat the Rangers. he tricks the Rangers, and the Rangers end up back into the late 1700s of Angel Grove. Tommy is in the current time, which was 1994 or 5 at this point. And that is episode 1 of this 3-part little series of the Return of the Green Ranger. Okay, so where's the problem? You told that story so well, Danielle. Where's the problem in the story? My problem in the story is the Rangers who live in Angel Grove, who we've established live in Los Angeles, California, or in a suburb of SoCal. Go back to the late 1700s, where there are Redcoats. And I'm sure you're saying to yourself, what's the problem with that? The problem is that if you know American history, then you know that there wouldn't be any Redcoats on the West Coast. In the beginning of this video, I said, what's up? This is Danny D, the Princess of Delaware. Delaware. Born and raised. Delaware. 40 years. Delaware. First state. All I know is colonial history. They beat it in our brains. I feel like we get more colonial history than we get any history. Like, my brother, he knows so much about like World War II, World War I, Korean War, like all the wars. He knows all that European history and stuff like that. I got US history. And specifically, I have the beginning colonial time US history is embedded into my brain. So I know that Redcoats and Bluecoats technically were on the East Coast. We didn't purchase the land on the West Coast till Thomas Jefferson was in office as president. That would be in the 1800s. In the late 1700s, one can assume that most of the West Coast is inhabited by indigenous people and maybe some settlers. I can't remember Oregon Trail, the years, but I'm sure it still was in the 1800s. We are still in the late 1700s. And plus, even if there were settlers that were going into the West Coast, the West area of the United States, it would not be British. It would not be the British soldiers. Like, so that was my hang up. That was my entire problem. Like, I spoke to a couple people and I was just like, if we assume that Angel Grove is the West Coast, then you can also assume Redcoats would not be on the West Coast. Why would you do an entire 3-part situation where the Rangers are in late 1700s Angel Grove, but it looks like late 1700s Delaware? It doesn't. You're not in Delaware, my guy. You're not even in Salem, Massachusetts, and yet they're calling out witches. It's witches. So, and no, like, I know you're like, yo, it's a kid's show. We know it's a kid's show, but we also know that we like to analyze this kid's show. So please don't even come here with that. But it's just funny to me. There are so many little things that can be like, you can watch about Power Rangers that can just leave you be like, what? But you know, this one was one of those things for me where I just was like watching it even as a kid and just being like, why would they be with Redcoats? And where are the Bluecoats for that matter? So I have answers. I actually did a little research. I checked out Ranger Wiki. And so I actually kind of sort of can answer my question about this whole scenario. My dog is snoring. So, the Redcoats. All right. The whole situation with them at this time. Oh, wait. Okay, I'm sorry. I got all confused. Beep. Let's try again. Okay. So let's stick with what I was saying, and let's start off with what was going on. All right. So at this time, they were actually filming the movie that just had the 29th anniversary. Yay. So they were filming the movie, and so they were in Australia because that's where they filmed the first Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie. That's where they filmed it, in Australia. And they were in an area called, I believe it was something like Heritage Park, or I can't remember the entire name of it. Like I said, this should be on Ranger Wiki. And that's where they were able to film this. So if you look at Australian history, it's kind of shares the same kind of like colonial style situation. So their history, from what I gathered, British imperialism, colonialism, came over to Australia, same kind of thing. There were indigenous people there, but they kind of just took that land. I googled it. I saw that Redcoats was in Australia, so now it makes sense. Okay, now Power Rangers, this particular episode of Power Rangers makes sense for me, because they were using the resources that they had at the time. You know, they had to figure something out. And so they said, we're going to send the Rangers back into the 1700s, and they're going to have to deal with people who don't know who they are, why they look the way that they look, and assume that they're witches. And also, we're going to have British soldiers, because that's exactly who would be on the West Coast. Okay, so then let me tell you what my other thoughts are about this. First of all, you can also say that because American history is so like gilded in this idea of like British soldiers were here and we had the Revolutionary War, and you know, we won and we're free. Let's hope that we stay free, but we're free. And so that history is like so deep in our culture that it is a trope, if you will, that people use often. You see it in many storylines everywhere. It's not just a storyline that they used in Power Rangers this one time. This is a storyline that they use in a lot of things. So it's not that they shouldn't have used the storyline. It's just funny that they did use the storyline. But here are some other ideas that I have as well. So one thing that I saw when I was doing research is that these episodes aired February 20th, and that would be President's Day. And what do you have during President's Day? You have typically a 3-day weekend. In the first episode, they said three different times, that it was a 3-day weekend. In the beginning of the episode, Mrs. Appleby is like, okay guys, remember you have this assignment during your 3-day weekend, or however she said it. She mentions 3-day weekend. Bulk or Skull, I think it's Skull actually, he mocks her and says 3-day weekend. And then later in the episode, Adam mentions that it's a 3-day weekend. So they're pushing this ideal of 3-day weekend in our brains without actually saying it's President's Day. If they had to put those things together, if they had to say it's President's Day, it's a 3-day weekend, and now we have colonial times in Angel Grove, That would have been a better storyline. That would have put everything together. That would have been A plus B plus C equals Angel Grove colonial style. It would have painted a better picture for me, because those things go together, kind of, sort of. But that's not how it went. They randomly mentioned these things and did not add the significance to it. So, it got lost. And I think it got lost because if you're an avid Power Ranger watcher, if you're a person who's been to conventions and listened to interviews, you know that Power Rangers is not filmed like as a cohesive show. Power Rangers was filmed like, okay, so for Pudgy Pig, you're going to do these shots. And for the eye monster, you're going to do, isn't it called the eye guy? You're going to do these shots. So, and then the production people, they put it all together. So if you talk to the Rangers and you ask them, hey, in the episode of Pudgy Pig, when you did blank, they're like, we don't remember that. Like, we don't know. It all meshes together. So, that was another thing, whether or not that whole idea got lost in translation. Like, did they simply just not put it all together? Like, forget to mention that that's what it is. Or were they like trying to make it as, what's the word? I'm not sure what the word is, but trying not to have all those kind of details. So this leads me to my next idea, because I had seen a clip of Dino Charge, and it made me remember the Dimensions episode, which is actually in Ninja Steel. But in that episode, well, actually, sort of with Dino Charge in Ninja Steel, like, this is when we find out technically this is, to me, or as I've had conversations with others, this is when we find out that Power Rangers is in Dimensions, because technically they kind of in the beginning felt like they all kind of strung together. Like, although they weren't in the same place, it kind of felt like, oh, so this is just some other place but nearby Angel Grove. Do you know? I mean, I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know the history of all the seasons very well. I'm willing to learn, especially for this interaction will be great. But like, okay, let's just look at Mighty Morphin going into Zeo, going into Turbo, going into In Space. All of those take place basically in like Angel Grove in space. You see what I'm saying? And then the next one, which would be Lost Galaxy, takes place, I think they're in some sort of a entity to keep them safe. I kind of started that and didn't finish. I need to get back into it. And please don't yell at me about it, okay? I am one person and there are 30 years of Power Rangers, okay? And I know I might be 40 years old, but there was a point at which I had to put Power Rangers into the closet because people was going to make fun of me for liking it, okay? And I know you have a similar story, so don't come at me, bro. No, but seriously, yeah, so it was with like Dino Charge and Ninja Steel where we are seeing that technically you're saying that Power Rangers is in Dimensions. And I mean, Time Force kind of makes you look at it like that as well, because that's a time jump. So if you're looking at Power Rangers as if it's in Dimensions, well then it doesn't matter where Angel Grove is. Angel Grove could be, even though technically it still could be considered America, because on that Pudgy Pig episode they had a food fair and Kimberly and Jason at the time were trying to get people to buy good old all-American food, which apparently were like cheeseburgers, but American food, cheeseburger. But yeah, If you just put all that kind of stuff aside, basically, if it's different dimensions, then I guess it doesn't matter that they were sent into a time period that doesn't make sense to me. I guess I have to kind of throw away the idea that they are on the West Coast. And so, I mean, I can, but it makes me sad. Anyway, let's look at the notes real quick and make sure that I got everything. I'm pretty sure that I did. I love Power Rangers, and I am like, I really want to be able to, have these conversations, even though it's with myself. But I'm hoping that someone is watching or will watch and will, share their comments, thoughts, feelings, and then I can address those things and also make more videos. But the only thing that I added that I didn't say earlier is that there are other things that I could have had issues with. but the worst thing for me in the entire episode was just the Redcoats and Angel Grove. The Redcoats and Angel Grove just doesn't do it for me. Confuses me. It leaves me with more questions, because for me, in my 10-year-old brain and also 40-year-old brain, why would Redcoats be in California? But anyway, okay. So I think that does it for me in this particular episode. All right, this was fun. I'm glad I redid it, because I just wasn't feeling the way that I had previously made the videos. It's too robotic, and I didn't like that at all. I want to be happy and show how much I absolutely love Power Rangers. This is in no way a hate video or a griping video. This is just a video of something I noticed that I thought was funny, wanted to share. I wanted to know if other people had ever thought that. Has anybody ever thought about where Angel Grove is located? Has anybody ever thought about the fact that the Redcoats were in Angel Grove, which is a city that would be in Los Angeles? SoCal? Did anybody put those things together? If this is something you've thought about, please let me know in the comments. I want to know if other people have thought like me all these years, or if I am the crazy one. All right. So, as most people say on YouTube, and I'm going to read this one. I wrote it down because I haven't memorized it yet. Okay. This is the first video, so I've got to have a script. All right. So, if you liked this content, please hit the like, subscribe, and also that notification bell so that you can find out when I will post another video, or when another video has posted. All right. So yes, and thank you in advance for any of that. I'll be so grateful. This was Danny D, the Princess of Delaware. I'll stay powerful in pink. You stay more phenomenal.